Hello, everyone. It is a great privilege to connect with all of you tonight. I'm not too certain as to what we're going to discuss tonight. I have an idea. We'll see what comes through. And I want to take a moment to thank every single person who donated last video. I really do my best to send a personal message to every single one of you. If I don't get around to doing that, just know that I'm always very intentional in sending you love and light. And in a way, you're feeding the machine that allows me to use my engine to keep showing up for you. Okay, so if it wasn't for your donations, I don't think that I'd be doing as many videos. It definitely fuels me, meaning knowing that I'm supported in this capacity. So I want you to know that you're appreciated. If I didn't get back to you, which I really try my best to get back to every single person, just know that I'm always sending love and light. I have so much gratitude in my heart. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you, Norman, Carissa, and Julie. So I wanted to share tonight that yesterday I had a pretty profound experience with higher dimensional beings, extraterrestrials, and I've been working with them diligently for, I want to say, a few years now. I work with them on my walking meditation, and I supercharge my pineal gland, and then I'm in full contact with them. So something interesting happened yesterday. I was sitting at a Starbucks, or I had my Starbucks with me, sitting on some random chair, and someone who's really dear to my heart messaged me and said, "Do you want to hang out tonight?" But we've had a very tumultuous year where we feel estranged now. I don't know if you've ever had that feeling with people where we feel estranged. And it's just not jiving, I guess. But I have so much love for them. And I know that they love me, but they're not really into communication. So I don't know if you've ever felt this way, but like you're in between a rock and a hard place because you want to say that you don't want to hang out or that you can hang out or you're not available, but that you know if you say that, they're going to take it personally. And so you feel as though your hands are tied. And this doesn't happen to me when I'm a dot and I don't have entanglement with people. But when I let someone in and things go sideways, I don't know, a year, 2 years down the road, it can be very uncomfortable because one theme that's been very noticeable in my own life is that I tend to be the final nail in people's coffin where they find their voice through me. So I kind of facilitate that, but they end up not being my friend anymore. So it's kind of like I attract people and I know that I don't want this to turn out this way, but sometimes what happens is they find their voice and their empowerment through something that happens between us. And then they take their power back from their whole life because it's not about me, it's whatever they were lacking in their own life. And then once there's like this sourness or this weirdness or awkwardness in the mix, then I can't really be myself anymore because they're like above me, even though they're not, but they found their voice, and then I end up kind of walking on eggshells. And I know that at that point, our relationship is not healthy anymore. Okay. So what happened with this person is I was very pleased that they asked me to hang out, but I always have like a lump of sadness every time I see them because we weren't able to work out the kinks and to consciously communicate. So there's nothing really left for us. If anything, it makes it really weird for me because I'm a communicator. And so I find myself in between a rock and a hard place. So I was sitting there and they texted me, and right away, my initial automatic response was, why can't this just fade away? Like, leave me alone. Like, I know that you're not really fond of me. So why do you keep reaching out to hang out? I already know that you're not, you don't really consider me a true friend anymore. So I'm not really interested in just playing games, which is what we do. And I love this person so much. It just makes it really difficult because they don't want to talk about it and they don't want to repair the damage in the relationship. And I take accountability for my part, okay? And I have over and again, but there's just nothing left there. It's if I hang out with them, I have to I feel like I'm in a maze and it's like, oh, I can't go there. Oh, but I can't go there either. You know that saying, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. That's kind of how I feel around them. So it's become very toxic. They are not toxic. They're a wonderful human being. But sometimes it takes more than love. Sometimes it takes more than being wonderful. It actually takes tools to effectively, consciously communicate. And if you can't do that, then one person is going to be in the dark. Meaning, if you're the more communicative one, then you're going to start tiptoeing around them all the time. And that's not healthy. Okay. It's not healthy. So my initial knee-jerk reaction was, just leave me alone. Like, I want this thing to fade away, because now I'm in an awkward position, because if I say I can't do that, then I know that they're gonna think that I'm too good for them or too cool for school, which I'm not. If anything, I would love for us to actually resolve these issues. But that's the vibe. Like, whenever someone takes their power back through you, like you facilitated that, not because you were trying to consciously facilitate that, because that's how it happened. That's kind of how the events turned out. Then they're gonna, they're wearing their new Nikes, right? I got a new fresh pair of Nikes. It's a metaphor. Like, I know who I am now. If you say no to me, then, they feel superior to you. So I'm not insinuating that this person feels superior, but my best friend, Mikey, calls it, they found they're wearing a fresh pair of Nikes, and so they might be on that high horse a little bit, which can make it really uncomfortable for you, especially if you've really accounted for your wrongdoing, or if you've apologized profusely and they don't fully receive that. Instead, they see you as being weak for doing that. It's really awkward, right? It's a weird thing. It's difficult to explain, but hopefully you guys get it. Like, if you're willing to take accountability for your part in things and you apologize, but no apology is ever enough, then that person starts to make you feel like you're weak. Like, they start to equate your vulnerability to weakness. So that's when you know that the carton of milk has turned and maybe that relationship is expired. So what you want to do is kind of rein your energy back in at that point, reel it back in, and don't do anything. Let the universe kind of evaporate that relationship for you. Okay? So less is more. Anyway, so I received this text. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, let's do a quantum grass hopping exercise right now. I do those all the time. I study the algorithms of the different conceivable outcomes or probabilities, and I sit with which one feels most comfortable. So my first option was, I can't tonight. And right away, my guides chimed in and they said, thank you, Sam, I see you. My guide said, that's a lie, Phil. Don't say that. And I'm the worst liar. And I feel like if I lie, I'm not in integrity. And if I'm not in integrity, I'm going to end up muddying my own waters. So I was like, okay, option A doesn't work. Option B, which is the most sincere one, hey, I really love you. And because I love you so much, every time I leave, I feel sad because I miss you. I miss you, my best friend. So that's very sincere, but my guys were like, ooh, that is heavy, Phil. My guys are very funny, okay? They're like, that's heavy, Phil. That's going to be a lot for them. Okay, so then I went on to option C, and I was going to say something like, hey, I think I'm going to stay home tonight. And my guys are like, okay, all right, okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. But then they're like, why don't you scratch all of those? And by the way, I saw that bug too. Whatever flew there, I don't know what that was. All right, I don't know. It could have been a hair. It could have been an alien. I don't know. But I'm not going to say it was an alien because some people say it's an alien. It's a freaking hair. Okay. So it could have been an alien and it could have been a hair. I don't know what it was. Okay. So then my guides were like, Phil, just drop this, scratch it. Let's go for your meditative walk now. And it was about that time. So I usually go to my coffee shop. I work with my psychokinesis, with my pineal gland, and I listen to wonderful channelers. I love doing that. I'm kind of like a galactic geek, a galactic nerd. And then after that hour and a half, I then go for a silent walking meditation where I start to work within the hyperspace realities, within those higher dimensional landscapes where I supercharge my pineal gland and I work with my wizardry abilities and I communicate with these beings. So I went on my walk and I started breathing into that point of trauma, right? That knee-jerk reaction where my survival is being threatened, my safety is threatened. Like, leave me alone, right? I went to the place of like, you betrayed me, leave me alone. Just, I want this whole thing to fade away. I don't want this anymore. I just want to get back to me. People come with a lot of terms and conditions. They don't know how to love unconditionally. I can't do it. So it triggers a safety issue in me. And I think a lot of us have those. It's like we don't feel safe in the world. We are very powerful when we are autonomous, when we are not answering to people or reporting to people, and we're very solitary on our path. And then when we let someone in and they break our heart, then that survival mechanism kicks in to gear. So that's what happens to me a lot. But I refuse to close my heart. So I've really been adamant about like, let's really tend to this trauma. So I went for this walk and I was already pretty activated at that point. And these extraterrestrials, which I want to say are different than the guides I work with when I work one-on-one with people doing private readings. When I work one-on-one with people or when I do these videos on Instagram or YouTube, it's typically a blend of energies. It can be angels, your guides, my guides. It's whatever energies or frequencies are pulling together in that moment to cater to the most dominant frequency, to the most active vibration in the field. So say you're talking to me. As you're speaking to me, there are many energies who are like, pick me, and they all come through. It can be a multitude of guides, a collection of beings that come through to deliver the most concise message or the most appropriate message for you in that now moment. Okay? There might be other beings who are on break right now. There might be, right? So it's like this pulling together of many, many beings. And but these guides were Arcturian beings. So I was communicating with the Arcturians and I work with them every day. And they teach me how to install their technologies into my own body. It's very complicated. It's a very complex process. It's a very sophisticated process. And I don't want to make this about me. Wow, thank you so much, Sim Walia. I love you. Thank you. I call her Source and I call Sim Source in Motion. It's our little joke. Sim is in the house, Source in Motion. Thank you so much, Source in Motion. I appreciate you. So, anyways, it's a whole elaborate process that I do with the Arcturians, and they teach me how to plant those higher technologies into my muscles, into my organs, and it's a pretty intense process. But let's skip that right now. I digressed. So they started saying to me, Phil, breathe into that point of trauma, that survival mechanism that you have. And I did. And within 15 minutes of my walk, I was like, oh, I feel really good now. Like I'm starting to feel very uplifted. And they said to me, we want you to say yes to this person tonight. That you'll go play games. We want you to say yes. But we want you, as you say yes, we want you to receive our energy, the extraterrestrials. And something I haven't shared with you guys is the reason why I'm in the midst of installing all these technologies. This is something private, but I'm going to share it with you guys, is because I've been calling in. I've already had experiences with ships that I see in the sky, but I've been calling in the Arcturians to work with me physically. So to actually take me up on a spaceship, on a spacecraft, and do all these things that may not manifest how I wanted to, but I do feel like there's a lot in store for me as it relates to these technologies that I'm installing in my body. Okay? So it's not just going to be channeling messages. There's so much more that's going to be happening on my path because already as is, my new oxygen has become these technologies. So most of my life is, or most of my time is allotted to working with these technologies. So I've been calling them in, and so they've been prepping me or readying me for that physical contact, which is why they're drawing my attention every day to what I need to work on and these different triggers that I feel that I need to release. Okay, and I'll get to that in a minute. So they said, Phil, we want you to say yes to this person, but as you say yes and as you spend that hour with them, we want you to imagine that we're bathing you in our energy. And I thought that was really cool and very prolific and very profound, because it's not always about shying away from things. It's about being resilient enough. And I think a lot of us right now are being called to this. It's about being resilient enough to handle all of the incoming energies and holding them all. So my guide said, can you withstand our energy? And I was like, yes. But they were like, but can you really withstand our energy? And I said, yeah, I believe I can, because I'm willing to do the work in my lower chakra system. And as soon as I said that, they said, bingo, you just hit the nail on the head. They said the reason why we need humans to really work on clearing these very historical, ancestral, Akashic imprints that have imprinted within the lower chakra system, survival, codependency, fight or flight, all of these lower chakra systems that pertain to the old carbon-based matrix, where all these traumas have imbued within that grid. The reason why they want, I want you to really pay attention when I say this. The reason why we need you to do that, Phil, is because in your personalized hologram, in your personalized, individualized hologram, the way that we're going to be able to travel to you in physical form, okay, is through your base chakra. Because if you think about the higher chakras as being associated to the higher realms, that's how you contact them, right? So even if I have all this trauma, I can still contact them through my walkie-talkie, which is my third eye. I can still get in touch with them through my pineal gland. But the thing is, they want to travel up through my root chakra. The root chakra is the physical reality. The second chakra is the physical reality. The third chakra is the physical reality. Once you go into the heart, we really needed a galactic video tonight. So that's why I'm really happy we're doing this. Once we go into the heart, they said, we go into the ethers, into the etherical realms, the astral realm, the Pleiadian realms, the Arcturian realms, you name it. And I did not expect this download. They said, we need you to really reconcile every aspect within yourself that keeps you caught in an illusion. Because we are real. And everything you experienced back there at the Starbucks was you getting caught in an illusion. And they said we celebrate you because you didn't act on that trigger of survival. You were willing to breathe through it. And as you breathe through it, you open up a space in your lower chakra system through which we can travel in physicality and take you up on a spacecraft. And they said that by the way, they're always working with you. So your guys are always there. It's just that they might be working with you within the psychic faculties, or they might be working with you through the heart chakra. So they're always working with you. Every single time that you get triggered in life, there is a guide there with you saying, hey, we need to clear this because that trigger is affiliated with an illusion that you're caught in, and we need you to melt that illusion. We need you to thin out that veil of illusion so that you can birth yourself into us so that we can come get you in physical form. And they said something to me that was so deep. They said, Phil, we want you to imagine that those triggers that are super highly uncomfortable, we're kind of like the flip side of that coin, meaning triggers can be negative, but they still hold a certain voltage. We hold a very powerful voltage, as powerful as that trigger. So you need to be able to clear the trigger in order for your body to be ready to receive us in physical form. Does that resonate with you guys? So every single trigger, every time someone gets under your skin, there is a window of opportunity to be able to burst the bubble of your own illusion, to then expand into the multiverse or expand into the true reality, which is a multidimensional reality where there are beings all around us. But because we've been caught in an illusion, then we can't see them. And these triggers keep us rooted in a lower version of reality that is physically focused. It's the material realm. So what we want to do is we want to start melting, they're saying melting, we want to start melting that illusion so that we can start to open up and birth ourselves into this grander reality. Does that make sense? Now, after I got that download to say yes and receive their energy, and the whole time I'm with my friend, I can receive this influx of higher dimensional light. And I was done with my meditation. I texted my friend. I said, hey, how about 7 o'clock? And then they said, you know, something came up. I'm going to a Halloween party. I'm so sorry. So every scenario I fabricated in my mind never even happened. I didn't even have to respond to them. So the guide said, your sweet spot in life is to do less. Less is more. Because we're constantly putting so much strain on ourselves. We're constantly efforting, and this ages us. So in order to live a long, vital life, less is more, my friends. Less is more. Let the universe work through you to dissolve everything that isn't serving you. And you may even find at times that you're surprised because you're interpretation of what was going on changes because you're assigning a new perception to it. You're not seeing it through the same prism anymore. And so I didn't even have to cancel or say no, and I was afraid to say no because, again, when your hands are tied and things have been very wobbly between you and another person, you can tiptoe around because you can sense their rigid structures, and so you end up, walking on eggshells. All right, now get this. This all happened in the span of 35 minutes. I'm walking now, okay? Now I know I'm not going to be hanging out with them. I spot a mom and her son who was probably in his 40s. He had a intellectual disability, okay? And he was like doing these very loud sounds, like like really loud. And the Arcturian said to me, plug into his energy field and feel what happens in your third eye, okay? And I shit you not, my friends. As soon as I plugged into his energy field and I started receiving his sounds, my third eye started piercing more than it ever has. And it pierces a lot. This was on a whole other stratosphere. So this man who was intellectually disabled was 100% tapping into higher frequencies. And I linked into him and he was linked into them. And it doesn't mean this doesn't necessarily infer that he was connected to the Arcturians. But again, you can choose what energy you receive through your intention, because everything is intentional based. Everything is intention based. So you can take a bubble bath and you can say to yourself, as I bathe in this bath, I'm bathing in the money that I'm inevitably going to receive in my life. You can assign that as a meaning. And through that intention, you're bathing in money. So you really get to have fun with how you choose to configure your life. It's like programming a remote controller. So because I was connected to the Arcturians and they were like in my ear, like talking to me so vividly clear, I linked into him. He was linked to something, but obviously it was of a very high dimensional nature. And then the Arcturians started like activating me, like, no, tomorrow. And they said, that's us celebrating you. You're one step closer to us coming in physical form, right? So, very powerful. And the reason why I wanted to share that story with you is because so many of us right now are being called to a higher measure of who we are, to a higher degree of our own divinity by integrating higher timelines, right? The timelines that you're desirous of, the timelines that you're wanting to experience in your human form. And I don't know why, but the guides want me to share this. There's a quote I wrote years ago that was probably one of my better quotes. And it was so simple, but so deep. In this now moment, thank you, Mary Jane, I see you. In this now moment, you're exactly where you need to be. Otherwise, you would be elsewhere. In this now moment, you're exactly where you need to be. Otherwise, you'd be elsewhere. I think that's how it went. Let me double check. In this now moment, you're exactly where you need to be. I feel like that's what it is. In this now moment. Otherwise, I'm Googling myself. Yes, so in this now moment, you're exactly where you need to be. Otherwise, you would be elsewhere. Okay. So the guides want me to break this down for you really quickly. If you were supposed to be somewhere else, if you were supposed to be in that relationship that you're wanting, if you were supposed to be living in Bali right now, if you were supposed to have quit your job, if you were supposed to have moved already, that's where you'd be. All right. But vibrationally, if we're going to go law of attraction, every single factor, every single variable, every single component that's currently in your life is because you're still a vibrational match to something that you're going to need in the future. Ooh, I like that. You're still a vibrational match to something that you're going to need in the future. And as I share this, I'm getting like a magical item that you need to pick up in this now moment with the deck of cards that you've been dealt. So you may be at a job that you despise, but could it be that your guides want you to extend more gratitude for that job? Because if you don't extend gratitude, then maybe you're really not pouring self-love into yourself. You're not raising that level of love within yourself. And so when you do get married, you may not be grateful for that relationship, and it might get boring to you really quickly. And you're going to fall back into old patterns. You know, the new stuff is always very exhilarating, but then it dies off. And that's what we have to stop doing. If anything, the new stuff has to be more appreciated with time, more revered with time. So in this now moment, you're exactly where you need to be. Otherwise, you would be elsewhere. So there's something right now, I'll use myself as an example. Why am I not on stage right now? Well, number one, because there's COVID. Number two, because if I was meant to be on stage right now, it would have already happened. I would have plopped into that reality because that's where my guides would feel that's how I will best expand. So where you are right now is where you can most efficiently expand. The other timeline you're thinking about is not your most expansive timeline. This timeline is your most expansive timeline. It could be that you're in a disempowered state at the mercy of your significant other, and you're in this timeline to integrate that piece of learning how to empower yourself, because in the future, you're going to need that additional tool that's in your toolkit to be able to handle more, and you're not going to be easily jolted or rattled. Okay? It's kind of like me. If the alien showed up today, did I really clear all of that root chakra energy? No, because they would have already appeared. You see what I mean? So I still need to work with this piece of my story. But it's not to get to a destination. That's the thing. And that's where humans get a little too tied up in the narrative. They get so hell-bent on what they want in physical form that they lose sight of their own masterhood. We are here to master ourselves, and the magic is here now. Okay? So I want to reassure you tonight that every single thing that you want is going to happen. But sometimes the guides give you what you need and not what you want. They give you what you need, not what you want. What you need right now may be that you have to extend more gratitude or thankfulness for having money in your pocket, for being able to be at this job. What your guides might be working on with you right now is you're going to be a psychic. You're going to be, I don't know, helping millions of people. You're going to be a famous channeler. And they're giving you this time frame to really work on your speech, on how you disassemble information, on how you relate to people. So there's magic here, meaning that that timeline, even though it hasn't yet materialized, that timeline is working with you now. It's non-physical, but it's still in your sphere of awareness if you choose it to be. And so it's about integrating that higher timeline into this now, as if it's already happened, you see? And then really pinpointing what about that higher timeline, that higher frequency, what is that catalyzing in yourself that is yet to be transmuted? Okay, so the vision that's coming to mind now, if you give someone who wants to be famous fame overnight, there's a likelihood that they're going to lose their mind, because it's if overnight you become famous as an actor or as a singer and you can't even leave your house because the paparazzi are waiting outside for you, think of how much of a shock that would be to the system. It would be an immense shock to the system. And remember, more people is more information. It's more bullets that you have to dodge, or it's more energy that you have to integrate. More people is more information. So that person would probably lose their mind. And that's why a lot of these celebrities do lose their mind when they're young, because it's too much too soon. And they're oversaturated and over inundated and overwhelmed by all of the stimuli. So what we want to do is stay anchored, but we can't get, oh, this is good. We can't get anchored if we don't address the stuff going on in that lower chakra system. So your guides might be saying to you right now, hey, the reason why you're still at this job is because you still have a fear around money. That fear is lodged in your lower chakra. Yes? Thank you guys for the donations. That fear is lodged in your lower chakra. So in order to integrate that higher timeline that holds a higher frequency, we're going to send that frequency now to give rise to that fear. So it's interacting with you now in the quantum, right? In the quantum resonant field, it's with you now. But that fear is starting to come up so that you can really look at it and then spew it out of that lower chakra. You have to release it from your lower chakra. Ooh, I just got something really good. So that that higher timeline can travel through the physical portal of your root chakra. Oh my God, wow. Oh my God. Wow, this is good. I'm having an aha moment. Oh, I'm having an aha moment. Are you guys getting the same aha moment that I'm getting right now? Like the UFOs want to travel through my root chakra because the root chakra symbolizes the physical world, and your higher timelines can only become physical if they travel through, wow, the root chakra. My God, that is so good. Whoo. Wow. I mean, I feel like this whole video was for this moment, because in this now moment, we're exactly where we need to be. Otherwise, we'd be elsewhere. Wow. I think we're good. I think this is it. I think this is a lot to take in. Okay, so before I go, wow, that was really good. Before I go, I do want to share one more thing. I woke up today with a lightness in my heart. Oh my God, the angels are hugging me right now. We did good tonight, you guys. We did really good. I woke up with like a lightness in my heart, and I started realizing that I was focused on this person's shadow that I was referring to earlier. And my guides are like, Phil, you guys may not be close anymore, but think of how blessed you are that if ever something happens to you, you know that you can count on this person. You know, and it's true. I can count on this person, and it's not what it used to be. And that makes me sad, and I can fully acknowledge that, But the truth of the matter is, I could be a lot more alone than I am. And the fact that I know that I can reach out to them and they would be there for me is pretty huge. And so I started feeling a lot of gratitude in my heart for this person today. And my guides made me flip the pancake. That's my new thing. I flipped the pancake. They made me flip the pancake, and they made me see that I was focused on the shadow side of life a lot more than I was focused on the light side of life. And they've pivoted my consciousness. They've pivoted my mindset to start focusing on the light side, on the bright side. The bright side is that, yes, things didn't turn out as you would have preferred them to, but it's taken on a different form, like all things in life. And if you can just focus on the fact that they're still around and that they're still there for you, that's still beautiful. And that's you focusing on the light side, not on the things that you don't want. Like I didn't want to respond to the text, right? That's the shadow side. I wanted to be left alone. I wanted it to fade away. That was the darker side. And as I've come around, it's like, wow, no, everything's unfolding perfectly. And the fact that I can reach out to them and count on them is more than enough. All right. So I love you guys so much. Wow. I'm so happy with what we did here. I love you guys. And if you'd like to donate, my link is feelgoodlife.com/donate. I'm mostly focused on donation-based work right now. I still take sessions, but not as much as I used to, because I'm really gearing myself to do this kind of work. So feelgoodlife.com/donate. I will do my best to get back to you. Please know that if I don't, it doesn't minimize your donation. It doesn't mean that I don't see you. I fully see you. Think of it like you're not donating to me, you're donating to our machine. This is our machine, and then I'm able to pop out and do videos for you guys. Okay? I love you so much, and I will see you in another version of the Now. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and share. I love you guys.